Live from Utah's Wasatch Front, the pulse of the Mountain West, where the issues that shape your life meet the truth that sets you free. Across Utah, across the Republic, and around the world, welcome. This is KMMU.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Political Head Trauma. I'm so excited tonight because I have my best friend and my co-host extraordinaire on tonight with me. Jared, welcome back.
Hey, thanks. Hi, everybody.
So you got to tell us. I know I told the world you went back to school and you're just doing like some impressive stuff with your life. So do tell, how's that going?
I don't know if it's impressive. I'm just going to tech school, just trying to learn some stuff.
Well, see, I'm impressed because you know me, and we just talked about this. I don't like learning new stuff. I'm getting to that age where, you know, old dog new tricks type thing. It's hard, but I'm sure you're an excellent student, far better than when we were high school, right?
Maturity brings a whole different value to oneself. I was definitely the worst student ever in high school. And it's like once you've shouldered responsibility, I think that's when you tend to kind of perform.
Yeah, I get that. Bye, Mr. Producer. Thank you for all your help.
Mm-hmm.
That is Dwayne, our very beloved Mr. Producer.
Yeah, good to see you again, Dwayne. Thank you.
I'm excited. I am going to have Alexis Wheeler on next week. She is running for District 29 for the House Representative seat, and she will be our guest next Wednesday at 6 p.m. So I hope you all will turn in for that. In the meantime, we're back on Facebook thanks to Jared because I couldn't figure it out to save my life. And we're also on YouTube. So if you didn't get a chance to watch today, we did start later, but you can always catch up with us on YouTube, Rumble. We got a big thank you to our partner, KMMU, for making this happen for us and for being beside us on this. And I'm just so excited to have Jared back. I feel like we haven't seen each other in a month. Has it been that long?
Yeah, it's been a month at least. It's been quite a while, and I've missed you.
I've missed you. I know. I hope the family's well.
They are. Everyone seems to be doing pretty good, I think.
Excellent. Us too. We're doing really good. Kids are excited. They're in their last couple weeks of school.
Oh.
And then we start back at Patriot Camp, which is the first week in June. Do you know that we sold out tickets to Patriot Camp?
Oh, really?
3 hours.
Really?
Yes. And I'm excited because a lot of the kids, they continue and they come back and they go all the way till they are 18 and they can be camp instructors or teachers if they want to be, but they are the camp counselors, you know, and it's such an amazing thing to see these kids grow up. It's so extraordinary. I can't. It just does my heart good.
That you're making better citizens.
Yeah. And a lot of these young people, I see them from year to year and they're a foot taller and they're so smart, and their parents, a lot of these kids' parents homeschool them, and so they seek out history, you know, and they're curious and they're so just motivated by history. So it's neat to have young people who, when they can learn anything besides what they're supposed to learn on the states test, but they dive into history with their moms and they absolutely love it. And they love going to camp. And so we keep the camp changing year to year and just to try to make sure the kids are learning something new every year. But it's a lot of fun. That's the first week in June. When do you finish up with your first quarter?
Oh, it goes by modules and I'm ahead of schedule. I'm This one will probably be one of my longer ones, but I've been averaging, I don't know, I'm probably a month ahead of schedule right now, I guess.
Fantastic.
I
That's
don't know.
amazing. So are you going to get there and decide you could be a professor and teach the classes like you did it when we did gun training?
I doubt it.
Are you teacher's pet?
No, this one's a lot on your own. There's not. So the way the course is set up, it's more like a job. You get there, you clock in, and then you have different tasks or labs you have to do. So it'll kind of, right now, we're doing a lot of electrical work. So you'll have a schematic that you need to build on a lab and show that you can follow the instructions and that it works. And then it teaches you another little task or another little part of whatever system you're on. So if you're on say you're dealing with bearings, it'll teach you the different types of bearings, and then you'll go out and you'll build something with them that utilizes them and how to assemble them and how to make sure that during assembly, it doesn't damage. In the electrical part, you got to follow a schematic. And there's going to be quite a few schematics through the end, because that's what a lot of stuff is, schematics and blueprints.
Yeah. I would lose my mind.
Once you figure out what it is, it's not that bad. It's not very complicated. You just got to get over that threshold of figuring out what it is.
Right. Well, you're a smart guy. That's something. And you know your stuff. You've been a handyman for years.
Yeah.
You pretty much have a little bit of everything in your basket of what your skills are.
Or a lot of nothing. Depends on how you look at it.
So I wanted you on today just because I want to catch up. And I also just wanted to go over kind of current events with you and see where we are. I know politics hasn't been on your radar just because of how busy you've been. And it's probably made you a lot happier in your life.
Oh, man. At the end of Pretty Woman, when she's no longer a prostitute and she marries old what's his name, that's what it feels like.
That's a funny analogy.
Well,
okay. Well,
what part of politics right now can you point at and say, yeah, I'm doing all right?
No, I'm not. I'm with you. I've had a lot of questions for the audience. I'm curious where they're at, especially my MAGA Republicans, my straight, hardcore MAGA Republicans. I'm constantly wondering if they're happy. Do they find themselves? For me, for sure, I'm happy. It's Republican in office and not the alternative.
Well, it'd be just a different set of issues, but the problems would be the same. Gas is going to continue to go up, and everyone's like, oh, like right now, all the blue people, they want to, oh, well, look at where your gas is now. Look, it'd be the same. COVID inflated us like crazy. This is where we live now. Get used to it, boys and girls. This is where we live now. It's inevitable. Either we collapse or this is the new normal. That's it. You don't print in 4 years. What is it? Something like 50% of the money ever printed throughout the history of the U.S. and think that, this is all right. This is going to pan out.
Well, with what's going on in Iran, I know they did a list of demands to the president, and he said he didn't even read through it when they wanted reparations for damage, and they want to control the strait and be paid to have people use the strait, which he ignored. But I'm thinking, this could be with China not having the oil they need And with our allies not having the oil they need, with our country not having the oil we need, this is no different than when under Biden, when everyone was saying, hey, he did that. And they were putting those stickers around saying, I did that.
On the gas pumps. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what's the difference? I mean, the Democrats say you can't blame a president for gas prices, right? And
well, they do that until a Republican's president.
Right. I think this war in Iran is absolutely the reason for the gas prices. And the futures that they're basing them on is bleak. What we're looking at in the future is, if they don't get that straight open and going, it's only going to go up and up and up. And China's going to have to buy oil from somewhere. I think Canada will sell them oil, of course. But I just don't like where we're headed. This feels like a potential World War III issue. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. I don't think they called World War I until after it was over. And they didn't call World War II till it was almost over. And I imagine in the future history books, they will probably wrap the global war on terror into World War III.
Going for more than 2 decades then.
Oh, easy. I
mean, we've been 2 decades already.
Yeah, we'll be looking at, they'll be grading it. It'll have a grading timeline that's like 30 years. Just like I would, how to put this? I would say diligent historians will recognize and call out that World War II is the completion with Germany side of World War I.
Sure. Yeah.
They will then point out that probably Vietnam is the fallout from the final fallout from the Japanese side of World War II. And I imagine they'll look at the global war on terror and they'll say this ramp up in the rhetoric and everything else. And then I don't know, makes you wonder what they're going to think about the U.S. as a whole. I mean, are we going to be judged weirdly, like for the Patriot Act? You know, is that going to be something where everyone brings it up and says, hey, this was kind of the beginning of the end, where the U.S. that had this establishment of liberty started giving it up and started turning itself over to a government that could abuse it and drag it into these different circumstances. Now, I'm not going to go and say, I don't know what the pressures on the current administration are. I don't know. I don't know what actual intelligence, but what I am going to say is I have a lot of veteran friends, and not one of them thinks this is anything other than a small nation in the Middle East finally exerting its control. And I'm not saying that's what it is, but I'm going to say that's the opinion of quite a few veterans. And
how do they feel?
Just Army veterans like myself, but Marine veterans, Navy veterans, Air Force veterans.
What are their thoughts about this whole thing?
That the United States is owned and operated by a foreign country. That everything we do, that we are laying down our future well-being for a foreign country.
Okay.
Look, I have gladly taken a step back from politics. I haven't paid attention to a thing in quite a while. It's been great. But I go out to dinner with these buddies of mine, and they all across the board feel the same way.
And you're talking about Israel, the government in Israel, correct?
Yes.
I'm hearing that from a lot of people that I respect and love, and never before did they ever say they would think that.
What it's going to do is it has tarnished Donald Trump's reputation. It's tarnished it. It's laid it bare. Now you've got the radical kooky side. They're saying, well, we're going to vote Democrat. They're kind of, they kind of want to see it collapse, everything collapse. And then you've got kind of the average. And I think this latest push where it seems like all states are redistricting to gain advantage. This latest push, if the Republicans maintain any kind of control in, 2026, and then especially in 2028, I think this redistricting may be the only way that happens, but I don't know enough about it and I don't pay attention to it anymore. Honestly, it's been kind of nice being focused on other things, and I don't feel the pressure to concern myself with it right now.
Well, we talked about this before, really early on when we were vetting candidates for the Senate on the show. And I said, if you guys win and you get to DC and do nothing and we become a uniparty again and sit on your hands, and I may not stay a Republican, here I am watching our Senate and our House do nothing. And they couldn't even pass the SAVE Act. The SAVE Act that has both sides in agreement to 86%. And they couldn't pass that. And I'm baffled because Democrats want it too.
It's almost like there's something else going on, right?
Absolutely. And it's a joke. And it is political theater, what we're seeing in many different ways. And so I am a Republican. I believe in the platform, and I really, really, I don't regret that we have a Republican in office. What I regret is that our president, I feel like he's fallen down the same path as he was in 2016, surrounded by maybe the wrong people, or, the Lindsey Grahams of the world.
Yeah. How's that change going on? Man.
I don't like it. And the veterans I know don't want boots on the ground in Iran. They don't. I wouldn't want to send my child to a war in Iran.
No.
Our country isn't doing well. Why are we going out and continuing this? And I get it, they shouldn't have nuclear weapons, but at the same time, we've got people that can't even go to work because they can't afford gas.
I'm wondering if Iran wanted these concessions, why not tack on there? All right, we'll give them to you. Here's the rule. You get to charge people for it, but we're the Navy there. And we get to look at all of your sites. You get out of whack, our Navy's already there. We'll park a Navy right there. I don't know. Then again, I really don't want to pay for that. And I don't know. I question how much of a threat Iran is to the United States, but then again, they might really be. I don't know. I don't know what we're talking about here because, again, I'm not in the inside. I'm not on the know.
Right.
I'm a room temperature IQ kind of guy.
So what did you think when they dropped the alien files? Have a nothing burger?
Oh, this is for everybody. I want you all to take a gander, look up Project or Operation Bluebeam. And it's written by a Canadian cat in like the 90s. And I'm going to try, it's been a long time since I read about it, but He said he was a journalist, an actual, like, for real journalist, not, not some just random kook, on a soapbox. But he said what they're going to do is they're going to come out and they're going to say there's aliens to unify everybody. And then they're going to use, he talked about these, I forget the name of them, but there's a type of laser that can make, plasma picture laser or some crap like that. Anyways, I don't know about this. I don't know if it's real, but anyways, they're going to use those to project a new kind of Messiah, or maybe even the old Messiah, in the sky and bring everyone under the same religion. And it's kind of the lead off towards the Antichrist revelation stuff. But the interesting part about this story is, I'm not going to lie, this guy was a kook. But he also, he was Canadian, and the government of Canada came after him, took his kids away, and then, he did the old, if I remember, there was the old suicide thing. Now, granted, it wasn't suicide by 2 shotgun shells to the back of the head, because that has happened.
Yeah.
But there was the old, suicide play to finish it out. So, I don't know. Project Bluebeam, it's kind of one of those kind of underground stories. The interesting story is about the journalist. Kind of like Gary Webb. If you guys don't know who Gary Webb is, you should look him up also. There's journalists, and they're usually left-wing journalists. That's something that kind of goes with the territory nowadays, but they kind of do a little bit of outside the box whistleblowing, and they almost always have kind of the same playbook. Maybe that playbook is broke because it seems like Alex Jones is going down a different path. He seems to be having some heavy issues with alcoholism lately, but it's all, I don't know, but that's what I thought of when they started talking about that.
Sorry, go on.
No, I just thought of Project Bluebeam. I was like,
when you said that, I thought about my Maui, and I thought about California when you said Bluebeam.
You thought about Blue Roof.
Right. Well, I thought about the ability to a laser that could literally start fires from space.
But
how crazy that sounded, and yet they believe the technology is in our arsenal.
It could be. I don't know much about lasers as warfare. I do know. Okay. I have seen video, but who knows if it's real? Who knows what's what? But they have 2 lasers that the lasers cross at a particular point, and that point can make a visual. It makes plasma.
I've seen Ghostbusters. Go on.
Well, plasma is the thing that lightning's made out of, right? It's just electrified particles in the air.
Yeah.
And it makes that, it crosses and makes plasma, and the plasma, they can apparently, they say, or when I say people say, and this, the videos I have seen of what is supposedly that, say that that the plasma makes a sound, that they can make the plasma talk. So they can make this ball of, for a lack of a better term, lightning, vibrate in a way that it sounds like a voice. And so that's his claim, is that, and this is in the 90s, and this plasma stuff, this laser plasma stuff was probably invented then, but it really I didn't hear about it. And I'm sure I'm late to the game. I didn't hear about it until, 2020, maybe 2021. And so maybe that stuff was around. Maybe he had an inside track. Maybe he just thought of this stuff as a kook, and then the governments ran with it, or maybe it's all BS. But I'm just saying, my
I mean,
mind.
would it surprise anyone if governments got together to fake the second coming?
No. What? I would fall over shocked. I wouldn't believe it.
I think we're getting to such a low trust society that you can't believe anything you see. I mean, if you scroll down in your internet, I know I see this all the time on mine, but it's like every other video is AI, right? And then when you watch trying to do a light show, like fireworks show, but they use drones instead, it's amazing what they can do with drones, right? And make these visual things. And I said this to my husband, when the second coming happens, the world is supposed to know, right, that that Jesus has returned. But I'm like, it'd have to be so huge that you would convince the world that he's returned. And in low trust society, I mean, that just makes it all the more weird, because people who have faith and believe in Christ fully will be questioning if what they're seeing is real or not.
How crazy, and I want to say hi, Sherry, good to see you. How crazy is that thing?
With aliens, I didn't think that it would be with Christ, but it would be with aliens, to get the world to kind of bound together against extraterrestrials, right?
Well, it was Reagan that said that first in, what was that, 83, 84?
Probably.
Reagan first said, oh man, there's going to be a paraphrase from way back, but he said, he's afraid the only way that we could come together is that if there was an external threat to all of us, something like if aliens came, something like that. And if I was a better man, I would go ahead and look up
so they did the alien dump, and what the government has on them.
Yeah.
It's like it's like the Epstein files, you know, not a lot of images, not a lot of explanation, a ton of reports, but you still don't know anything. So
yeah, that's
so
another thing that
it's
I
like
think.
they're throwing crumbs to take your mind off your gas bill. And
that's another thing that hurt Trump is the Epstein files. I don't know if Trump is going to come through this. All right, let's see if this is it. I'm going to play this and we'll see if this is Ronald Reagan's speech. Man, I am rusty on this, guys. I'm going to try to do some sharing. Holly has disappeared from the picture part of this. So all you get to do is look at me.
I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, she just disappeared. I can hear you.
Okay.
Oh, C-SPAN is enjoying this login. All right, maybe we won't.
All of humanity. Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us? What could be more alien to the universal aspirations of our peoples than war and the threat of war? 2 centuries ago, in a hall much smaller than this one, in Philadelphia, Americans met to draft.
All right. So, see what I'm saying?
All the members.
Okay, that's enough of that crap, Jared. Where did you go, Holly? Did you?
No, I'm still here. Did you lose me on video?
Yeah, your video's gone.
That's
William, good to see you, man. William says, I wish aliens were friendly like E.T. or Alf, unless you're a cat. Alf was a cat eating fool, or
That's true.
wanted
I'm
to
gonna
eat
go
cats.
out, Jared, and I'm gonna come back in. Okay.
Gotcha. I don't know. Who knows? And then the stories that are coming out that the reason we quit going to the moon is that when we went to the moon, we met aliens and they said, "This is ours, stay away." I don't know. I'm not, man, I have become such a cynical bugger in my later age. Like, let's say an alien beamed me up and went to diddling me right there. I wouldn't believe them. I would think they were some kind of NSA, CIA, FBI, ATF, whatever. Well, hold on. If it killed my dog, ATF. But I wouldn't believe them. I would be like, okay, really? You know, which one are you? Well, legally, you have to give me your badge number. I'd have been like something. So just because I have grown so cynical of my government, that's not good. That's not good that is how I feel about my government. And it's not just mine, it's all of them.
Hi, Tim. Thank you for joining us.
All right.
Do you see me okay?
Yep, you're back. Back and better than ever.
I just don't know, man. I don't like it. I don't like how low trust society we are and how the government's doing nothing to improve that. Congress has never been this low in approval ratings, I don't think.
I think they're down there with like chlamydia.
Probably.
You know.
I mean, they're way below cockroaches, which is normally where they sit on that scale. But the fact that they're just doing so little.
Well, and they've become a parasite. So we pay them over and over and over. They'll shut down, shut down the TSA, shut down whatever. And we still have to pay them and they provide no value.
Yeah.
When was the last time Congress did something that improved? Let's not go personal. You're in my life. When was the last time Congress did something that improved the general welfare? That means everybody universally, not just one demographic or whatever. But when was the last time they did something that improved the outcome generally for everyone? You know, but the last time, like I've said this before, and I want to thank the lady who made me think of this. But it had to have been the roads. Because other than that, all they do is their regulation tends to restrict. And I wonder most of the time anymore is if when they put forward new regulation, do they not do that so that they can gamble in that in the casino on whether that endeavor is going to be a success or a failure? And then like Pelosi and all them, and I don't know, when was the last time?
I feel like we've had wins, but in the definition you're describing, you're saying non-agenda driven. That's for all the American people.
Yeah, just in general.
That's a tough one. With what they're, I don't know, are you, this is just me, but are you watching any of the footage about the hantavirus?
No, but don't care. I don't care. I would, you know what? I mean, I don't, and I'm at a point now where shut down the country. I don't care. I look like a fool, look dumb. You know what? I'll come on here and I'll say, you're wrong, carry on, and then I'll be proven right.
Yeah. Well, I'm getting these little titches and on these little blurps I'm seeing on the different news, mostly left-wing media, talking about the dangers and how it's spread. And there's like 2 known cases in the States, and the rest of them are all being like quarantined. because they're not showing symptoms that got off that cruise ship. But I'm saying to myself, man, if this doesn't feel like we're going back to the COVID crap all over again, and I mean, people are going to be afraid again. What I don't understand is, are you going to fall for it again?
Here's the wild side. So, like, I've got these thoughts. You know, I'm a pattern recognition machine. I may be retarded, but I'm a pattern recognition machine.
Fair, yeah.
Conservatives historically are the ones that show more concern for plagues and things like that. That's generally a conservative, a conservative mindset. And something happened right at the end of Trump and the beginning of Biden that switched that, because when COVID first started coming around, the Democrats were like, Pelosi was go to Chinatown, hug everyone, do whatever. Remember that on the news? And then it switched, lockdown, everyone locked down. Not me, obviously. And my hairdresser can stay open, just everyone else's can't. But generally that's a conservative trait. But the conservatives kind of right off the get were open about it. And I think it's the conservatives' bullshit meter on that made the progressives swap their traditional value.
Sure.
But then again, so that makes me wonder, are we still truly dealing with, I mean, I wonder, future history books, are they going to look at it and look at conservative and progressive values opposing each other? Or are there going to be kind of sociological studies that find roots and ideals that change that paradigm completely? Like, are the progressives going to be considered something else? Like, and you've heard other podcasters have come up with ideas, and other writers, and that may be something that just has to come into culture. But I just wonder, are we using outdated terms and outdated ideas, which is why we can't seem to pin anything down correctly? Like, we have stuff that are just kind of is what it is. There are avowed communists that are awful people that, and there are avowed kind of white supremacists or Mexican supremacists or black supremacists or native anybody who has like a supremacist ideal. Bad people, have no use for them. But there are people who have just those leanings that I don't know if I'd consider them bad, but I would question, where is the mindset really at? And are we in this state of flux? Because it seems like we can't pin each other, but we follow political parties that make decisions off of what the other political party has decided, just to be opposite of that.
I know Trump made a joke, I think it was 2 days ago, saying, I decided if I say I'm going to do the opposite of what I want, then it'll get passed. Let's don't build a wall. I'm against building the wall. There's enough people that would be that angry and vote for the wall because
100%
on it. Tim
Schiff would run out. Schiff would start laying the first brick. He'd be out there with a golden shovel down there in Guadalajara or something.
Jeff Adamson, he says they understood they could use COVID for gain, and for a while that conservatives would not fight against it. Tim says, if you go on X, you can see conservatives behaving just like liberals, spewing false emotional binaries, lying, and demanding loyalty tests. Amen.
Seriously.
It's true. And what upsets me is that at what cost everybody gets up there and they're the most, everyone's got to prove themselves, right? they've got to prove either what side they're on or what issue they stand against, and yet at what cost. Yeah, you can come on here and say, I'm not going to fall for this BS. We fell for it before. I'm still going to push back. And yet it just matters on who's per what side. It's going to affect all of us. But in the end, look what it did to our kids. Look what
Our
it did to
kids, our
a whole
economy.
generation of kids and families.
Remember, how many people here remember the days of liberty when you could go to Walmart at midnight?
Yeah,
Right?
I remember those days, 2
Do you
a.m.
remember those days? Do you remember when even kind of sit down restaurants were open till 11? Now most of them close at 9.
Yeah.
Remember those days of wild times, right? Yeah, Tim, it's good to see you, man. We were chatting just the other day. Tim's from New York. He's kind of my insider behind enemy lines. If I ever start feeling down, I just give him a call.
Tim, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Mandami and Mandami.
No, he's not in New York City. He's in New York State.
Yes, I know, I remember, but I'm just curious of what it's like in New York State, because he's asking for the government in the state to
That's
really do a lot more and raise taxes potentially. And I know the governor's in a really bad place because
old Holkel, she's and that's another thing. That's another thing where they've become the Democratic Socialists and the Democrats are bedfellows on a lot of instances. Although it seems like the Democratic Socialists are becoming awful gun friendly lately. So hey, I'm telling you right now, every man needs to get that little bit of basics, AR-15, a little bit of training, a little bit of ammo. You don't know what tomorrow brings. You may have to go hunt yourself a deer. And an AR-15 is an extremely versatile piece of equipment. It'll take care of coyotes at your fence line just fine. But
sorry.
Well, it's just this group that were traditionally anti-gun has become extremely pro-gun, and they've had a lot of circumstances where they have strived to show how pro-gun they are.
Yeah.
Real world. And we're talking, I don't know. And then CBS News seems to have made a change. CBS News has done a few local stories where they're calling out Democrat mayors and Democrat politicians, and they've also they've called bullcrap on the LA mayoral race. CBS did a story where they were upfront about it, and then CBS is finally coming around to where they are pointing out particulars if there is a urban underprivileged individual who commits a mass incident. They will point that out now, and they'll point out if the judge let them out. So I don't know. CBS, I think, I don't know if they're doing it for just to get a different audience. Maybe they're tired of competing, like they're watching everyone else is all competing in the same market, and they're trying to do what Fox did by capturing a different market. Or I don't know, maybe CBS is just tired of it.
Or maybe just telling the truth in journalism is something that they're going to make a test on. I don't know.
Maybe they're just scared that the FCC will come hammer down like the Democrats all say Trump wants to do. Who knows? Whatever it is, it's kind of refreshing. So and then I was thinking, here's a crazy thought. So Vermont, ran by Democrats, right? But it is insular society. Everybody, Vermont's got to be like the second whitest state in the United States. It's ran by Democrats and it's safe and it's high trust. And so I'm almost wondering if the inner cities run to the Democrats, but the Republicans' means of governing would be the answers to make the inner cities a livable place. And the homogeneous places, the places with high trust because everyone's the same, you know, common religion or whatever, skin color, culture, everything else. If like the Democrats' means of governing works in the exact opposite places, and maybe that's part of our crux we're dealing with. Because look at New York. The most prosperous and safest New York's ever been is when they had a hardcore when they had Giuliani as mayor. That was the best New York has done.
Well, I wanted to go back to New York with Tim. He
Yes.
said COVID was a test the American people kind of failed. The government grew its power exponentially. I agree with you. I think it really was a test. It was to see how far they could push. And I think that when a government is pushing as hard as they are to get a vaccine in your body or to stay in place or to shut down the economy, when a president is going against, you know, what even his inner voice is telling him and starts listening to those in the know, Dr. Fauci, who is literally stabbing him in the back every 5 seconds. And I think Fauci should be in prison because I think they knew putting those people on ventilators would kill them. I think.
Well, what about just paying to invent the damn disease?
There's that too. Yeah. Let's talk. Yeah, for sure. Says,
so I agree with Tim. The main reason I agree with Tim is that YouTube and Facebook still exist. And what I mean by that is that the real control during COVID came from our social media and everyone's universal addiction to social media. And had the citizenry succeeded, Facebook and YouTube would have died on the vine because the only control came from social media. Nobody universally gave a shit what CNN said.
I disagree. I saw companies that shut down and they were not going to open or they were going to have everyone work from home. And then
you had lots of companies.
All these businesses change the way they do things.
No, but that didn't affect the American people. And that probably didn't affect but 20% of the whole workforce. Probably even less than that.
I don't know. It affected a lot of us.
My personal life still had to go to work every day because things still need to get made.
But my job, for example, was affected because we had to shut down for the entire season. My husband was deemed an essential worker, and yes, people could come and shop.
Pulling that out, essential worker crap. No, my work, everybody went to work. You had to go to work. You weren't going to get paid if you didn't show up because salt doesn't get put in a bag and put on a truck unless somebody's hot butt is in that seat.
No, I get that. And that's big on
That's the majority of our workforce still is production. No, what failed us is that even me and Dave started tempering what we said. Is that on YouTube, people start inventing weird acronyms to talk about COVID.
Yeah, I remember. We had to call it the jab when we discussed the.
Now, what kind of message? Because the main means of control came about through our social media. If you said something on Facebook, they would shut you down. They would take away your rights to go on Facebook for a couple of weeks. So everybody started getting real quiet on there.
Alex Jones, for example, they made him disappear.
So what if Facebook died? What if there was no more Facebook at the end of that? What if everyone was like, you know what? You're right. We don't trust you. We're going to close down our Facebook account. We're all done. We're out.
Something else would have popped up, I assume.
Well, that's fine. Something else would have popped up, but Facebook wasn't there. Facebook wouldn't have been there anymore to exert that control. YouTube wouldn't have been there. Maybe Rumble would have became the dominant force, or maybe nothing.
And X was Twitter became, with Elon Musk buying X, I think that was a big, big, big switch.
And that was at the end.
All of them were under the threat of our own government.
Although that wasn't because of COVID, that was because of Babylon. Well, okay. Honestly, my opinion, you've heard my opinion. Mine was so that Elon Musk could grab the largest kind of just the tweets where they were so short and so numerous. I think he, from the beginning, wanted to build AI because we're moving to an AI driven world, and getting your hands on everybody's just kind of vomit the stream of conscience is probably one of the most beneficial ways to build an AI. You've got, what is it? What is the chat that China uses? WeChat or whatever. That's like Chinese state, secured communications. BS. That I can almost guarantee you is a psyop just to build a large language learning model.
That's what Tim says, is that he says that Facebook was created by the CIA. He also said New York.
I don't know if it was created, but it was definitely it's seed funding, and that's not even he's not even joking. It's seed funding came from the CIA. Once it started growing and they wanted to break it out of Harvard, it was a complete op.
Okay, I'm going to get through these real fast.
Yes.
So Tim says New York City has ruined the state financially, talking about New York. Mondani is just a continuation of failings of democracy, and Larry Ellison bought CBS. So that's
that's why.
And Jeff Adamson says that Fauci should dangle. And I agree. In fact, I think they've tried to get word from him regarding the hantavirus, and I'm just waiting for him to be on. But I noticed on some of the reports there's someone saying, well, it's spread through bodily fluids. And so about 6 feet is where you should be from a person. It's like, what are you talking about? Should we all wear masks too?
Do you think that 6 foot thing was a plan? Were they trying to do something? I think, honestly, they had a disease invented in Wuhan. I think it escaped Wuhan because
election year.
Wuhan was a U.S. lab in China, and China didn't care about exerting controls, and the U.S. wanted to do that. And I think when it escaped, I think that's when they decided we can use this politically. And they used it to destroy Trump completely. Just look at the messaging change. The traditionally Republican or conservative messaging stayed pretty uniform through all of it. Even when they did that 2 weeks, people are like begrudgingly, okay, 2 weeks. But then it kept going and going. It was the Democrats, their message on it changed politically, along with their political power. So Pelosi's message changed once she could use it politically as a cudgel against Trump. But the Democrats universally, I mean, they used it as a political cudgel to hurt the appearance of the Trump first administration. So it makes me think, I don't think, believe me, I'm a big conspiracy theorist. I love that stuff, but I don't think it was a planned release. But I do think the reaction to it was, I don't know if planned is the word, but was
You think it was a coincidence that it
Yeah.
was so easy that they were able to potentially ruin ballots or election day by all of this crap? I don't think it's a coincidence.
I think that was a happy opportunity they took advantage of. And do I believe that there was a COVID virus that was released from the Wuhan lab? 100%. Do I believe that they overblew it? 1,000%. But do I also believe that, I don't know, that's just my thoughts. I mean, I don't know. Call me a soothsayer or a tea leaf reader, but I was calling this very circumstance out in 2019. I was saying on this show, well, on the old show that this became, this is an economy destroyer. This is going to, and then when Trump started writing checks, and then Biden started writing checks, and everybody started writing checks, and they advanced all these different social programs that they didn't have any checks and balances on. I said, this is it. This is what sinks us.
It made no sense.
The US is so powerful.
All over a virus that had a 98% survival on it.
Yeah.
For the majority of our country.
But
we did the opposite. We should have had those with conditions or those over the age of a certain number. Those people should have stayed at home while the majority of the nation stayed at work and kept going.
Well, they shouldn't have upped welfare or unemployment or welfare. They shouldn't have done any of that. They shouldn't have cut checks. They shouldn't have come up with the community support services without checks and balances. We're dealing with that now. We're wading through that cesspool right now. Right now, there's a guy in hip waders that's out there picking toilet paper and condoms out of the sewage pond of that fiasco.
Oh, the triple your normal amount for unemployment.
Yeah.
All these things, they were spending their way out. And it was Trump and it was Biden. So both are on the hook for that. The vaccine, both on the hook for that.
All right. William says, I think Ilhan Omar and many other Democrats sometimes act like the creatures from Alien versus Predator.
Tim O'Connor says, I miss social distancing.
Look, it came out. The emails came out. That was just some made up crap. They made up the space. They made up completely made up.
Yeah.
William also says, sometimes I wonder what Richard Nixon would think about modern day China if he were still alive. That's a big one. And he says, especially after COVID. Now, I didn't come in here with much political talk, but I want to bring it back to Utah and talk about this Box Elder facility, storage facility.
Data storage.
Yeah, that everybody is up in arms about. I want to hear your thoughts and the listeners' thoughts. I have my own thoughts and I have my own opinions on it, but I want to hear what other people say and think.
I'd like to hear from the people. I know that water is an issue with these facilities, but the water they would be using is pretty much like the water they would use on an alfalfa farm. That's about the same size. It is a data facility, and I can only imagine the people that are in use of it or needing it are bringing a lot of money into Utah. I can imagine a deal like that. I don't think the people of Box Elder are too excited about it from what you can see on the socials. The details, I don't know. I know that Tooele County, we are getting approved for nuclear, which is something that we wanted out there in the West Desert. But the people of Box Elder are not excited about this large facility, the amount of water that's going to be needed and where they're going to get that water from. I'd be curious if you're from Box Elder, I would love your point of view on this, or if you've even studied it. I just know that people aren't happy with it. Democrats and Republicans alike that I know that live in Box Elder, most of them, not all, but most of them tend to be on the worried side, if not full blown against it. So, what are your thoughts?
Oh, okay. Tim says gamed out under disaster planning. The consequences of the gamification was obvious enough for the Dems to see why they flipped their script. Yeah, it honestly it was. It made a lot of changes. I mean, not just on the election ballots getting mailed out. Now I'm talking here in Utah. We had mail out ballots became universal, and that's kind of where we are now. We're gonna deal with those for quite a while. It also allowed them to, well, I wonder, had a Democrat been in charge, would the Republican Party electeds acted the same way? And I can't honestly say that they wouldn't.
No.
It says they shouldn't have changed the definition of vaccine. Well, that's true. 100%. And the vaccine was, well, you know, us purebloods can say things like that. Tim says something very interesting. The panopticon is underway and is the next logical step. Does anybody here know what a panopticon is besides me and Tim?
No, go on.
A panopticon was a form of prison that was invented by the Greeks, if I remember. And what it is, it's a prison where you have a tower in the middle that has mirrored glasses, or initially when they drew it up, I think they drew it up that it would have a light in there that shone so bright from inside the viewing portal of the tower that you could not see if you were being watched. And then the prison was the walls surrounding it, right? And the prison cells were open so that the tower could look at the prison at any time. But the idea behind it was, because you did not know if you were physically being watched, that eventually you would start to warden yourself because you didn't know if you were being watched.
You didn't know if there was a sniper rifle trained on your forehead
Or-
at any
or
given moment.
you didn't know if the guard was in there taking notes on what you were doing. But I think it was the Greeks. It might have been the Romans, but I think it was the Greeks that first come up with the idea, the panopticon.
What shape would be a panopticon be?
Well, when they initially drew it out, if I remember, it was a 5-sided wall like the Pentagon.
Uh-huh.
But you could build it round, you could build it whatever. The idea is that you had this, the modern day drawing or theory of the panopticon was they'd have mirror glasses on the guard tower, but the tower was in the middle watching out, and you never knew if you were being watched. And you would the idea was the guards would only have to enforce it for a certain amount of time before the mindset that we're always being watched, we can get away with nothing. And then after that, you wouldn't need guards because the prisoners would start
To
self-governing because they still thought they were being watched. The punishment came whenever you did anything wrong. And that's exactly, Tim called it right there, the panopticon. We have built a modern day jail, and we've done it through social media.
And the applause of a lot of people. We're talking about just not even social media, just with the cameras that are all around all the time. And they did it in Britain, and a lot of those cameras, people are always, they know you are on camera from the second you step out of your home, and everything you do is filmed. And it gets to the point where people start behaving that way. And I mean, I've seen so many crimes be solved based on the direction their vehicle was going, caught on this business's cam or caught on this ATM cam. And they're actually, also tying it with your internet or your phone data on the phone, towers, the cell towers. I mean, we are living in that. We really are. And no one can expect privacy.
But it's deeper than that. When that's one thing where the cameras are actually used to solve crimes. But what if something that's normal today, no victim, no harm, but it's suddenly declared a crime, like standing too close to someone,
Or praying in your mind.
Yeah. What it is they get people to start restricting themselves from doing those non-criminal acts, but they will, and they don't even make them a crime. They make them COVID. What did they call it during COVID? It wasn't a crime to not wear a mask. It was whatever.
It just made you were the enemy of the state.
What about flying on airplanes? You know, they were going to restrict people from flying on airplanes who didn't get the scare quotes vaccine. You know, they were going to make it so they weren't going to criminalize you. You weren't going to have to answer to police or anything, but they were going to shut you out of society. They're making
you couldn't work. You
so
couldn't get food.
That is the panopticon, where the government doesn't even have to have wardens or any of that to deal with you. We start governing ourselves, governing each other, which is how it went when you went to go into the store and where's your mask?
Yeah.
Right?
Michael says, great to have you back. And Tim says, the assumption that you are being watched will affect your behavior. It went from bot knowing if you were being watched to knowing that you are always being watched. And that's data centers. It's true. They got to store it somewhere.
Also, the data centers, and now here's where I'm torn. And I don't know if I even want to bring this up because, again, I don't want to become but food for thought. We are in a new industrial revolution. We're in it.
Right.
And we're competing with China. Ford is our main competition, but there's other countries that are building these as well. And I think the first cross the post with AI is going to be the system and ideals that will dominate the world for 100 years after, or probably more. But right now, AI is like the Tesla invented electric motor or the automobile, you know, the internal combustion engine.
And we're in a race to get
We're
smart,
in a race to get it and to use it. And the data centers definitely pose a problem as far as heating the nearby area and using water. But I also have a theory that if there is a problem, say environmentally or anything like that, when it does get solved, it'll be solved with the assistance of this artificial intelligence.
We have the NSA facility in Utah.
Yes, that came
Biggest
out in
facility ever.
2014, 15.
Right. And that facility, Draper, is it in Draper or Bluffdale?
It's in Lehigh, but you never hear about it anymore
No.
because they built it now. You know how we've kind of been running out of water ever since they built it, which I work at a salt plant. We rely on the water from the lake. But ever since then, our water level has continually gone down. Granted, it was going down before that. Bangerter built that pump and turned it on once, and they never had to turn it on again. And that was in the mid 80s.
And then Tim says universal high income with a question mark. And Jeff says, thought on a data center. Utah has low unemployment. Do residents leave jobs to man them?
That's a big question. I don't know. I don't know how many people
Do we import labor to man it or man the jobs residents leave open? Either way, we import people. Utah has a housing crisis ever since 30,000 homes became occupied by illegals. Where do we find housing for all the imports? Utah is in the second driest state in the nation. Where do you get the water for not only data centers, but all the new housing? Finally, there are other states that have the available labor force, power grid, and water, but only Utah has government that over 70% of politicians receive donations from developers and contractors. Sorry, so long.
Yeah, I've got a correction for you on that. Not only do they receive them, but they are developers and contractors.
It's true.
They are them.
A lot.
Most of our political class here in Utah are developers. Now, I don't know if that's the same around the world. I would imagine some places it's mostly lawyers, but he's right on all those fronts. He is. I do know as far as the designs for a nuclear plant out here in the West Desert, I know that all of the industry surrounding the lake is nervous about that opening because they will lose their most qualified employees just because the pay variance.
Right.
Where they are willing to pay so much more. And so they're worried that they're going to be non-competitive until they start upping their pay. And all of the industry around this lake on this side in Tooele County, they've for a while, and they've known this for a while, that they need to start matching pay with Salt Lake Valley.
Sure.
And that's been known, and they've talked about it. And most of the time those are decisions that are made far away in Minnesota or wherever the other plants are headquartered. Those are decisions that are made there. Those aren't decisions that are made locally.
I saw somebody throwing out the idea of raising the minimum wage to $25 an hour. The federal minimum wage. It's like, why don't you make it $2,500 an hour?
Yeah.
It's crazy to me that people think small businesses can survive, and small departments and small rural towns. But again, it could be by design. We own nothing and we'll like it, that we will conform to this life that is picture perfect in the world of communism, and the government will give us all the same pay because we're running out of jobs. AI is going to take most of them. We've had this conversation many times. That
would be closer in my mind to fascism, because larger companies are more able to, one, to give money to politicians to run, but also they're more exposed to regulation, which makes it so that the federal government has more control over the companies. And the companies love the regulation anyway, because it stops new companies from growing up in their wake.
Competition. Yeah.
Yeah. Like Walmart has never, if there was a push to make minimum wage $25 an hour, I promise you Walmart would run to say yes, because it'd kill Solberg's.
Well, it'd kill
Lucky's
grocery store, but then you also wouldn't have affordable pricing. Minimum wage at $25.
I don't think Walmart would care then. Walmart, and they could probably still have affordable pricing, because Walmart would be deciding what they sell everything for, because the producers will only have one place to sell it from.
Yeah. I was going to ask you something on a different. Norma said it'll be the death of the Great Salt Lake. She thinks
it might be. I don't know. This is what I don't know. But what I do know is we would have to sit down and say, and I'm not posing an opinion, I'm just posing a question, where the US is racing against China on this, and then different states are probably racing to gain advantage as well, because I imagine the state that houses this stuff will gain advantage in it. But I think whichever state, nation, whatever crosses this finish line first will be the state or nation that will kind of dictate the style of life for the world for 100 years.
Possibly. And if it's AI, that state could very well be the one who decides what the ethics are in running that.
Well, there were two countries that really, when the automobile came about, there were two countries that really, well, kind of three, but really just two, that really utilized that to its fullest. England kind of followed along. They had hobbyist kind of style, but the US and Germany were the two countries that utilized it to its fullest, that ran ahead full steam.
Right.
But there was this little thing called World War I and then World War II, that the culmination of those two destroyed Germany. Germany, it set him down. They're done. Gonzo.
So I wanted to ask you about this before we go, because we are about out of time. And this time has just flown by.
It has.
But I wanted to ask you, well, you've noticed how Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Megyn Kelly, they're all on Trump's hate list right now.
Uh-huh.
And I was saying on the show, I believe that if Charlie Kirk were alive today, he would be on that list too.
He might.
Because he was open about not wanting to go to any new wars, regardless. And he had a problem with AIPAC being in every single politician's campaign fund. And so openly, like you said earlier on in the show, that a lot of veterans are having a problem with the involvement and the leadership that we are actually being pulled around by the ear by this little tiny country in the Middle East. And that's what I wanted to get back and say to you, like, Tucker Carlson, of all people, I've seen him speak in person. The man is a genius. He helped get Trump elected. He is a great journalist. And yes, I know he's a conservative, but I don't know that you get more conservative than him in basic ideology as far as what's right and wrong and what makes sense and what doesn't. And for Trump to turn on him and to turn on, I mean, we knew when he turned on Marjorie Taylor Greene, I didn't like it. And I said that to you. I don't like this. This woman helped get him elected also. She took a lot of heat because of him. And it was the Epstein files with him and her. Yeah. And she was like, you made this promise on every campaign stage I shared with you that this was going to be day one out of the gate. Same with Kash Patel. Day one, we're going to release those. And I think allegedly she said to Tucker that he told her to drop it because a lot of his friends would get hurt. And she said,
well, I said on this show, didn't I say on this show that if there is foul play, if there is a there, and that there came out publicly, it would destroy our economy?
Yes, definitely.
I said that, and it would.
We were fine with that, though, right? We were fine exposing.
I am fine with that. I am, a great reset kind of guy, I guess. But it would do, because that would probably take down what percentage of the movers and shakers in our global, national, regional economies.
Every single one of them has somebody behind them ready to take their spot. It's not like businesses would go belly up.
Well,
you even got, Alex Jones being accused.
What
and then
do you
you've
think?
got 12 scientists that it's not one, it's not two, but these 12 scientists are disappearing or being unalived.
What do you think would happen? Let's just call out a major company. You call out the company.
Amazon.
Okay. Amazon is on the stock market, right?
I believe so. We could do Apple.
To Amazon long term, let's say 4 months, if everybody pulled their stocks out of Amazon and nobody shopped there again?
I'm telling you, it's a free market. Something else would come along.
It is. And you're right. And between Amazon collapsing and that something else coming along,
Oh, hundreds of thousands of jobs lost.
hundreds of thousands of people that rely on Amazon. How many companies rely on Amazon to function?
Yeah.
How
How
many?
many businesses are only on Amazon?
That's what I'm saying.
Small businesses.
That's
yeah.
a lot to drink in, right? And that's just one company. Now
Sure.
add that to Amazon and Delta Airlines and knock that out across the board and say it knocks out 30%.
Yeah, but what I was saying is they all have VPs. They all have somebody down the chain that would keep the brand alive.
No, it's not about the brand could be kept alive. They could make all new hats. It's about nobody would ever go there again.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
It's not about who's in charge of it anymore. It's about that company has lost trust. That company would go away, and all those jobs and all the staff they support would go away with them. All the businesses they support would have to figure that out. They would take a huge loss. Then those businesses would lay off 3%, 5% of their employed staff.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It would be it would collapse our economy. We would have bread lines week 2. Okay, Tim says a couple things. The government does not want small businesses to survive. That is one of the main ideas behind minimum wage. It's easier to control and extort one business than to control and extort millions of businesses. Yes, and also businesses that functions across state lines then becomes federal property to extort. Whereas if they're just in a state, the state mostly deals with that as long as they work within federal regulations. Walmart is on record as supporting higher federally mandated minimum wages. Yes, they are. All of them are, because that just stops competition. Excuse me, guys. And then Tim says the problem is real. Trump has lost his mind. Maybe. And maybe we can finally wash the boomers off after Trump, and we can start out with a nice millennial. Get a millennial in there, some fresh ideas. Maybe they'll bring in, I would like to say they'll bring in weird colored hair, but I think that's a boomer Democrat from Connecticut that does that.
What about Gen Xers? We just want to bypass them.
Come on, we're skipped anyway. Just us Gen Xers, we don't count. We don't apply.
I don't think we would behave well in public.
Yeah, just leave us. We're that ugly mangy dog that you have as a pet, but you keep it in the backyard. Don't bring it around company.
Probably we'd be the type that would not only America first, but build a wall right around America and stop.
I wouldn't build a wall. I'm an anti-wall guy, have been from the start, just because walls are fine and great until it becomes a prison, and I don't want it. I think I still believe that we can manage our immigration just through managing the welfare that we give to immigrants. I think that's the fix.
If you cut off the thing that they're coming for, you can't hire them and you can't give them services.
Well,
that right there would stop them coming in. And you can patrol a border without a wall, just using drone technology.
I don't even think you need to patrol the border. Just tell companies that if you hire illegal immigrants, it's perfectly legal, but your corporate tax doubles, and you just tell them that. Please hire them. Corporate tax doubles. Just tell them that. So and that's a corporate tax, not a tax taken from the immigrant, so that the lefties can, their panties can stay perfectly wrinkle free on that one. and they'll love the corporate tax thing. They think corporations should be taxed 100% because, industry is evil and what have you. Greta Thunberg might actually make eye contact then. And then,
How dare you?
yeah, that retard. And then, and then we offer no state services to illegal immigrants. None. Your kids don't go to school here.
Do you think we should count non-documented people in the census?
No, not at all.
I
say we should count them in the census so we know who they are, but they don't count towards
our congressional seats.
Towards congressional seats. Tim says if it would be destroyed by the truth, it deserves to be destroyed by the truth. 100%. 100%. I'm going to tell you right now. Let's say Trump is doing this cynically just so that he isn't president when the nation collapses. I could believe that 100%. Matter of fact, if I were Trump in his shoes, I would probably delay it until like the last month of my term so that it comes out then. I would delay it until AOC is given her inaugural speech on the steps, and then it would be dumped right then.
Knock on wood.
But that's when I would do it if I was him as a cynical man, because would you want to be the president over the collapse?
No, but he's already been the president over a collapse with COVID.
Yeah, but this would be a collapse would make COVID, if we were to collapse in the next 10 years, COVID would never even be mentioned in the history books. It wouldn't even be recognized that it happened because this would overshadow it to such an extent.
Well, if a Republican's not elected in the next term, then Trump is either going to have to give himself a pardon.
Maybe Trump doesn't care.
Or get out of the country.
Maybe, and sure, he may do any of those things. He may not even have to pardon himself. He may just, hole up somewhere. Who knows what happens? I mean, the guy is a million, and his health is definitely catching up to him. Jeff says, and history would find a way to say the second Great Depression came about under Trump. 100%. That's why, if all this is what they say, that's my theory on why Trump's holding it off. He does not want to be the president that this happens to. He probably wants another Republican to get elected and have it hold on and then roll it out 4 years or 3 years after that Republican's elected. And he may have a dead drop that'll do that. And then Tim on the Gen Xers, fellow Gen Xer, he says, we don't count. And he's 100% correct.
It's true.
A message for all us Gen Xers, just remember this. I know when I talk about boomers, people think that I hate boomers. I do not. I love it. Norma. She's my aunt. I love her to death. She's a boomer. My dad's a boomer. Lots of boomers, great people. They are not individually selfish. The boomers have been a negative on this nation because there's so many of them. So at every movement, they got their way, and that's going to come with sacrifices towards other generations.
Absolutely.
They were fine when taxes were raised on their retired parents. They want to do away with taxes on their retired selves. What that does is that causes a growth and then a strain on government, which is going to have a reverberation on the following generations. Gen Xers, we need to be ready for the boomers to write in that their taxes are kind of going to start to go away, which is going to cause a strain. And then millennials, Gen Alpha, Gen Zillennials, whatever, Gen Z, they're going to take the helm. Revenge is going to be taken, and it will be taken when you are most vulnerable. It'll be taken when we are retired. And the revenge will come for the retirees. And it will come, mark my words, they will announce it that the retirees, not the Gen Xers, the boomers, but they won't say that. They will just say the retirees took advantage of the government, where they're the ones who have the most draw from the government. Not true, but they will say this. And we will end up, just be ready to die in your kid's house. That's all I'm saying. That's what's going to happen to all of us Xers, except the ones that, hit escape velocity and make it out by getting rich. Me, I don't know. Probably a heart attack will come along before that happens.
Well, a lot of the Xers didn't have enough kids either to even replace themselves. And millennials had even less.
Well, the Xers had more kids than it's the way that they cross over, that generations cross over. So the Xers were a small generation because they would have been born in the early time of the boomers and the late time of the silents. That's when they would have been made. Now the silents, they kept pretty quiet and, didn't make waves. And the boomers, when they should have been having all of us, they were exploring, wearing flowers and
going to war
and copulating in the mud is what I should say. And so boomers traditionally had kids a little bit later than previous generations. So that's why the Xers are such a small generation.
Sure. Well, I wish we could talk all night, and normally
Yes.
we would. I know that about us, and I want to wrap this up, and I hope that you will come on again, because this is our baby, and it was yours before that, and I just want to catch up with you anytime that we can. I want
Yes.
to thank everybody for tuning in tonight, and I hope that you will share your comments, even if you're seeing this a week after the show. Put your comments in. We try to read every single one. And I'm grateful for Tim, for your input. And, you're always welcome to join us if you ever want to be on. I know, Tim, you were on before, and he's a
Bring him on.
libertarian,
He's
isn't
great chat. Very insightful dude. And
Yeah.
he's got experience podcasting.
he? Yeah. And I think it'd be interesting to talk about New York, talk about the nation, talk about the world. So, Tim, reach out to us if you're ever interested. Jeff, thank you for your comments. Norma, Jordan,
I love you.
of course, to Michael and to Ma.
Yes.
We are grateful for all of you. And if you join me next week when I welcome Alexis Wheeler, she'll be on the show at 6:30, and she is running for District 29 in the House seat. And she's the Republican nominee. So I'm really interested in talking to her. She won at convention, and I just want to hear what's going on and what she thinks. And I think this question about the data center should be one we ask all those who are getting elected. Celeste is running against Phil Lyman.
I know there's a heated run right there. Yeah.
So we have
neither one of them will be our representative. So Southern Utah will be, they'll be representing Southern Utah, and exciting times.
Yeah, they're trying to do a series of debates. So, if you want to find them on YouTube or on Facebook, follow, I know Celeste Malloy shares them, or Phil Lyman. Go to their Facebook pages or their elected pages, and usually that'll tell you when they are and they stream live, or if they do. But if you're in District 3, I recommend you stay tuned on that race.
Even if your mind's made up on any of your elected individuals, or like between Celeste and Phil, even up here in Northern Utah, still their congressperson from Utah, which should impact you, whether it does or not. I think that depends on the congressperson, whether they're party mechanism or whether they're, I still think the state should decide how much they pay Congress people.
I
Just
agree.
according to, they should be on a ballot, or they should just pay them like I would say 10% high median middle class range for that state. And that way they go there and fight to be a benefit for the populace, but neither here nor there. That's just my thoughts and opinions.
Well,
But-
and Dr. Kennedy is running for our district,
Yeah.
a couple others, but he's there now. So he's got a record we can see.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to get one of them on the show. I've also offered to Celeste, who, she's a friend. So I said, well, if you want to come on, and of course I would invite Phil again. They're just trying to create their own debates. Don't get dragged into the mud, people. Really try to get in touch with these candidates and really talk about the issues that matter to you,
Well,
and ask for real answers, real solutions, not just rhetoric.
I wanted to say you should follow both of them.
Yeah.
You should follow both candidates running including the Democrats. You should follow them prior to the election. That'll let you know if, you can get a little bit of insight into their thoughts. Oh, you could probably get insight into one of their staffers' thoughts more realistically, but you should follow all of them just so you know what's going on and you get a feel for stuff. You don't have to like someone to follow them, but you should follow them.
Yeah, and follow us. If you want information about local elections, nationwide stuff that's going on, we love your comments. If you have something you want to see, or if you know somebody or something that you would think would be a great topic for the show, just message us on Political Head Trauma on Facebook, or leave a comment and we'll get back to you. And I'd love to do more research. If it's something that means something to you and your neighbors, let us know. And it doesn't always have to be politics. I feel like politics is engulfed in everything in our lives in some way or another. But I also think that doing what you're doing, for example, Jared, and just kind of taking a break from it and focusing on other aspects of your life, I think that's good for people.
It's very
I
healthy.
really think it's good. And even taking it, I rarely am on Facebook, and I used to be on it daily. Now I'm not on the socials because I just, if I want to learn something or a point of view of someone, I'll go there. I use it as a tool, but it's not a day-to-day thing anymore. And I really haven't looked back. I don't miss it, other than I miss people's birthdays that I love or that I just didn't have.
Just log in
horrible.
daily just for the birthday.
Yeah, or look a week ahead of time or whatever. But hey, thank you for being on with me,
Yeah,
friend.
Jordan, it's good to see you again. Haven't seen Jordan in a bit. Hopefully either way, I would man, I don't know what to predict in the future. We might continue on like this for a long time. Remember, Eastern Rome lasted some 1100 years in mid collapse.
That's true.
Western Rome,
And we're on year 250.
yeah. Western Rome only took once they started the collapse, it only took a little while, but Eastern Rome went on for quite a while.
Yeah, well, we still have hope. So
Mhm.
happy Wednesday, everybody. We love May. My birthday is actually next week on
Yes, it is.
May. So I'll be doing a show on my birthday
Oh, are you going to wear a hat?
that says it's my birthday.
You should. A hat.
No, I don't think I own one. But if you want to join me on the show, I'd love to have you.
Okay, I'll see what my schedule looks like, but thanks for having me.
Yeah, love you lots. We love you guys. Thank you for tuning in, and have a wonderful week and weekend. God
Mhm.
bless everybody.
We'll see you later.
Bye.